Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Sunday, August 27th, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with AEW Collision broadcast last night on TNT featuring matches taped last Wednesday at Gas South Arena in Duluth, Georgia. In the main event, the team of CM Punk, Sting, Hook, and Darby Allin defeated the team of TNT champion Luchasaurus, Swerve Strickland, Brian Cage, and Jay White. CM Punk was attacked after the match by his All-In opponent, Ring of Honor World TV champion Samoa Joe, who had been at the commentary table for the match, leading to a ringside brawl involving all participants.
Wait a minute! Oh! Oh no! Caprice! Yeah. Tell me he's not doing what he thinks he's doing. I think he's looking right at Joe, and Joe knows it. He's choking him out, Joe. Yeah.
The winners of this match by submission.
I believe the match is officially over. Correct, gentlemen?
Correct. It is over. Joe, a man of his word. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Good God Almighty, Joe. Punk. Joe. Punk. It's all in right now.
Somebody, anybody, call the National Guard.
In a six-man tag, NJPW Strong Openweight champion Eddie Kingston, Penta El Zero Miedo, and AEW International champion Orange Cassidy beat the Butcher, the Blade, and Kip Sabian. During an in-ring promo, Jack Perry tried to retire the FTW Championship belt, which he currently holds, but before he could do so, he was attacked by former champion Hook, who put him through a ringside table.
T-Bone! FTW style.
It was announced the two would meet today at All In for the title. In other results, Keith Lee beat Zicky Dice, Willow Nightingale defeated Robin Renegade, and Alex Reynolds and John Silver beat Darius Martin and Action Andretti. With AEW invading London for today's All In show, it was an expectedly busy Saturday for the UK wrestling scene. Rev Pro ran its 11th anniversary show at the Copper Box Arena in London. The main event of the show saw Will Ospreay defeat fellow New Japan roster member Shingo Takagi. After the bout, Ospreay was challenged by longtime rival Zack Sabre Jr. for a match at Rev Pro's Royal Quest III show in October. Ospreay was then attacked by a masked man who revealed himself to be Chris Jericho.
Will Ospreay's getting worked on! Codebreaker! No! I think the reality's just seeped in. No way! No way! Yes, Will! Oh my God! Chris Jericho!
Ospreay and Jericho will wrestle later today at AEW's All In pay-per-view. All Rev Pro champions retained their titles yesterday. Undisputed British heavyweight champion Michael Oku defeated Trent Seven. In a three-way match, Alex Windsor turned back the challenges of both High-End and Mickie James to retain the undisputed British women's title. Subculture held on to the undisputed British tag team titles, knocking off the Velocities, and Connor Mills won a six-way scramble match to retain the undisputed British cruiserweight title. In other results, Tomohiro Ishii defeated Luke Jacobs, Zack Sabre Jr. beat Ricky Knight Jr., JJ Gale topped Kosei Fujita, Leon Slater knocked off Dan Maloney, El Phantasmo and Katsuyori Shibata defeated David Finlay and Gabe Kidd, and during the pre-show, Danny Luna won a 10-woman battle royal to become the #1 contender to Alex Windsor's undisputed British women's title. The Washington State-based Defy promotion traveled outside of North America for the first time yesterday, running their Splendid and the Vile show at the Electric Ballroom in London. The main event of the show saw Kenta make his first defense of the Defy Championship, knocking off Mark Haskins. The rest of Defy's title holders also came out victorious. The Bollywood Boys retained the Defy Tag Team titles, defeating the Sunshine Machine. Vert Vixen knocked off High-End to hold on to the Defy Women's title, and Pacific Northwest champion Shafe turned back the challenge of Gabriel Kidd. A Progress Atlas title match was also held, with Ricky Knight Jr. retaining over Davey Boy Smith Jr. Other results saw Nick Wayne defeat Casey Navarro, and the team of Gene Money and Session Moth Martina knocked off Lizzie Evo and LJ Cleary. Progress Wrestling also ran on Saturday, holding its Chapter 154, its Clobberin' Time show at the Electric Ballroom in London. All Elite Wrestling's QT Marshall made an appearance in the show's penultimate bout, defeating Chuck Mambo to retain his newly won AAA Latin America title. In other selected results, Leon Slater defeated Mark Haskins in the main event. Lana Austin retained the Progress Women's title by defeating Raven Creed. Nathan Cruz topped Paul Robinson. Kanji defeated Lizzie Evo, and Spike Trivet defeated Kid Lycos 2. Pro Wrestling Eve and the Japanese-based Gato Move Women's Promotions ran a joint show on Saturday at the Dome in London. Key results from the show saw Miyu Yamashita retain the Eve Championship, defeating Emerson Jane. Chantel Jordan and Nina Samuels were also successful in retaining their Eve Tag Team titles, turning back the challenge of Emi Sakura and Sapphire Reed. Now with a look at Night 1 of the NWA's 75th anniversary weekend, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
The National Wrestling Alliance held Night 1 of their 75th anniversary weekend last night, streamed on Fight TV pay-per-view from the Coruscant Ballroom of the Chase Hotel in St. Louis. In the main event, Camille defeated Natalia Markova once again in a rematch from last June's Crockett Cup to retain the NWA World Women's Championship. The evening saw 4 new champions crowned, with Blunt Force Trauma winning the NWA World Tag Team title from La Rebellion, Colby Carino taking the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title from Kerry Morton, Silas Mason winning the vacant NWA National title in a 3-way against Kratos and Odinson, and Max the Impaler winning the NWA Women's World TV title from Kenzie Page in the opener. Also on the card, Kenzie Page won a 10-woman Mildred Burke Invitational Gauntlet to emerge as the contender to Camille's World Women's title for tonight's second part of the NWA 75th Anniversary show. In other selective results, Matt Cardona beat Ricky Morton, Joe Alonzo topped Homicide, and Jack Stain defeated Tim Storm by referee stoppage in a no disqualification match. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
In ratings news, the overnight numbers are in for last Friday's SmackDown on Fox, indicating a total audience of 2.505 million viewers, according to Spoiler TV. That would be about a 12% increase from the previous week's overnight viewership total of 2.233 million. The overnight rating for the Terry Funk Bray Wyatt tribute episode in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was 0.71, which would lead the night on cable TV in the demo. Full ratings figures for SmackDown are expected later this week. Now with a look at the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame induction ceremony, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
The International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame held its 3rd annual induction ceremony last night at the MVP Arena Complex in Albany, New York. Inducted at this year's Hall of Fame ceremony were Bret Hart, Bob Backlund, Ron Simmons, Vern Gagne, Gorgeous George, Keiji Muto, Mitsuharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi, Bobo Brazil, and June Byers, as well as early pioneers Bert Azarati, Dan McLeod, Dr. Benjamin F. Roller, George Lurich, and Tom Connors. Among the night's special award recipients was Tennessee promoter Christine "Teeny" Jarrett, who received the Trailblazer Award, featuring a pre-recorded induction speech from Jim Cornette, as well as Dave LaGreca, who was honored with the Excelsior Award. LaGreca's award was presented to him by surprise inductor Mark Henry, LaGreca's Busted Open co-host. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
The final night of league matches in Pro Wrestling Noah's N1 tournament took place today at the Colts Kawasaki in Kawasaki, Kanagawa. In Block A, Keno upended Jake Lee, eliminating the GHC World Champion and punching his own ticket into the finals. With the victory, both Keno and Lee finished block play with 10 points. It's Lee's first loss in a singles match since September of 2022. 4 wrestlers began the day with a shot at winning the B block, but it was Manabu Soya who came out victorious. Katsuhiko Nakajima and Iho del Dr. Wagner Jr. started the day in the lead with 10 points, but Nakajima fell to Go Shiozaki and Wagner lost to Soya. As a result, Shiozaki and Soya finished tied for the B block lead with 9 points and engaged in a wrestle-off in which Soya won. Kenoh and Soya will now go on to meet in the N1 final on September 3rd in Osaka. Before the show began, a ceremony was held to honor the passing of the legendary Terry Funk. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.